I clicked the one thing.
You just done did the thing.
Other thing ready. So here's the real
No,
thing.
you just.
Oh, hello. Welcome back to the Black Tower Podcast. We are a Wheel of Time podcast.
It's time for taint.
Shocking, we know. As opposed to the other Black Tower podcast, it isn't a Wheel of Time podcast. That actually might be out there somewhere.
Yeah.
So if you're part of that podcast,
we still like
come
you.
say hi. We could be friends. Why not?
Let's talk.
Who cares? Let's talk. Let's have a conversation about intellectual property rights. Why we don't actually have this. But welcome.
Black
I am your
Tower.
Andrew, and I am joined by my illustrious and very taintedly talented co-host. That was actually kind of impressive.
Right? You like that? I'm the Sauron Mahale Josh. I am drinking out of what I thought would be not an invisible cup tonight.
You have any non-invisible cups?
Yeah. So apparently I don't know. This one.
Not according to StreamYard, you don't.
All right. StreamYard's like, the fuck you don't get no
clearly
visible
the cup's supposed to be blue, but apparently with enough light it just becomes green. Maybe yours is just set up to like any solid color. We're just gonna mess with that shit. Because why not?
Also, this tattoo is fresh, and I put the lotion on it, stuff like that, and it like picks up
You
hairs.
put the lotion on your skin so you don't get the hose again.
That's right. So I'm gonna just cover that up real quick.
Is that HOSE or HOES that you don't get?
You know what? Let's just not even go there right now, Andrew. Do you know why? Because it's very important.
Black Tower. We go everywhere.
We do. We go everywhere. We swing both ways.
Spread our taint like a dog with worms on the brand new living room carpet. Because that's the comparison we want for us. But anyway,
spoiler warning for tonight. We don't need a spoiler warning because it's about the TV show.
So we need a kind of spoiler warning because some people still haven't watched season 2.
If you are a plebe and have not seen all of season 2, please pause, go finish season 2, and then come back.
And also, if you have not read the first 3 books of the Wheel of Time, that is The Eye of the World, The Great Hunt,
that might be a
Dragon Reborn. If you have not read those 3 books, then you're probably going to get spoiled on something here as we talk about tonight. Before we get into what we're going to talk about tonight, it's not just the two of us talking about it. We've got some fantastic folks that have made either the fortuitous or the incredibly regretful decision to join us tonight. You might know them. You love them. They are the infamous Twats of Time. Say hello, Tom and Joe of Twatcast.
Ah, Joe's doing
a couple of twats.
Yeah,
Twatcast of Time. I guess
I didn't have a thing.
You're supposed to do the DX.
I was just sitting here. You can't
That's
see
what
it.
we talked about.
Crotch.
You're supposed to stand up and just be all crotch.
Just butterfly.
We did talk about it.
We planned it. Where's your music? This whole thing is falling apart.
Damn it! All right, let's just start over. Can we do this? Can we redo this?
Let's go back to 1. Hold on a second.
Hey, welcome to the Black Tower, guys. We know that you've been here before. Hey. We like having you around.
We like being here. It's fun being here with you guys.
We've circled the Twat HQ a couple times. It's been pretty awesome. Big fan.
Yeah.
5 stars.
So those few folks,
approval on Yelp.
Those few folks, like all 2 or 3 that are somehow listening and watching us but don't know who you guys are, why don't y'all tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, where you can be found on the interwebs or in person. I mean, it's up to you. It's your life. I'm not sure.
Take it away, Tom.
I'm Tom from Twatcast. I'm in the state of Georgia.
I got really
no, yeah, the Woodstock, Georgia. near the dollar store, and there's a Kroger down the street,
And there's a Kroger. Oh, okay.
a Publix, and
Is
gas
there
station.
a Piggly Wiggly anywhere nearby?
No,
Yeah.
no.
No.
Damn.
That does narrow it down.
If you get on Facebook and look at the angry white ladies that scream and complain when they put the dollar store up, you might be able to find my neighborhood.
Is it $1? Is it
That does not narrow it down.
massive thing in the South? Normally, they're
You
right
have to
next to a Food Lion.
It's actually right next to the Goodwill.
Or is that
The
Chinese
barbecue
restaurants
place.
are normally right next to the Food Lion? I think it's that one.
There's
No,
also,
it's not even a joke. We did this at work one day. We kept trying to find a Food Lion in North Carolina that didn't have a Chinese restaurant like right next to it, and we could not find one.
I challenge you to find a pawn shop or a check cashing place that's not next to a pawn shop and a liquor store
That's true.
in Georgia.
Those three things go
at least
very nice. They fit together.
it really
You
will.
know?
It's just
Especially
yeah.
if one of those places sells lottery tickets.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know
Here
what
in
else.
Utah, I have to drive an hour and a half to get to
And
a
that's what our
lottery ticket.
podcast is
This
about.
is bullshit.
There's a Great Clips next to every Kroger.
Yeah. Everyone does this.
There's a racetrack across the street from every Quick Trip.
I love it. I'm here. I'm into it. I love it.
Like that.
It's
What's
great.
your podcast about? Well, it's
Yeah. It's about
it's about liquor
We
stores,
covered a long
pawn
conversation
shops,
about where Tom lives.
It's about the store, man.
places.
it was about them all.
We're the Wheel of Time read podcast, or
Right.
however many reads we've done, which is a lot. I don't
I
know.
like that.
Y'all are
And
relatively
we've been doing
new.
this
You've
for a
only been
very,
doing
very
this for
long
like
time, so
12
it's
years,
pretty
yeah.
shocking if you don't know who we are. It's not shocking if you don't like us, though. That's
Did we just
Certain
get a?
flavor.
Do you know who I am? From
there's a
Joe?
certain flavor of Twatcast,
Yeah.
and
That's
most
fair.
people
Y'all,
don't like
y'all
it.
bought us some drinks at the last Jordan Con. That's the only reason you're here.
We-
tonight, so.
We've been doing the podcast long enough that if you tell somebody that you do a podcast and they roll their eyes because everybody has a podcast, we can like explain like, no, we've had it for a long time and it's
Yeah,
still
we have.
sad.
Listen, it's sad. It's
But-
sad what we do,
We've had it for
but you know,
long before it went insane.
Wait, I will say this though. I often say that if you turn the way back machine, and please don't be insulted by how many ways there were.
there's a lot, but we're old, so it's okay.
You got like Dragon Mount, Tarvalon.net, and Theoryland, and Twatcast.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And I don't think people understand like how long you guys have been around doing this thing.
I don't
long.
think
And
we understand it.
again, please don't take that as an insult.
No, it's fine.
No, I mean,
care
it's
at
a
all.
really long time.
But it's like
Somehow we still find a way to talk about this, but it makes it a lot easier with a show, you know.
I mean, we're approaching territory where we can start talking about how the podcast would be old enough to drive and the podcast would be old enough to join the army.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yep.
excited about it.
We're
Well,
getting
with
there. We're
parental
getting close.
consent, the podcast could join the army. Next year we got to sign the podcast up for the selective service.
Oh,
Sign
you're
up for
making-
more than both of my children combined.
You're doing like an old man voice, but like we're past that.
you're doing an old man voice. We're just doing our regular
just-
voices,
we're just
Andrew.
voices,
Fuck
man.
you.
Back in the age of the internet was young. Lived
We
a
are- we are-
podcast.
It's 2 to 3 years away from you guys having us on, and we both sounded exactly like Abe Simpson.
It's cold and there's wolves chasing me.
Love it.
I can't wait for the future. It's like
I
coming to
read
you live
Eye of
from
the
Atlanta
World.
nursing home.
Yeah.
And Joe, what about you? Like we know we just said Twatcast.
Right
we
near a
said
Kroger,
Tom.
right near a Piggly
Bam.
Wiggly.
Bam.
I'm also in Atlanta, Georgia, or right thereabout. We're all in Georgia. We're all in Atlanta.
For those of you who attend Jordan Con, Joe is a mainstay. He's literally always there.
Mm-hmm. No, I never leave the hotel. I actually live at the hotel, and then JordanCon just kind of comes around once a year. I hang out. For
You're living the dream, really.
No one can
I
no one
mean-
can disprove that.
Just always at the bar. Where is everybody? And then for like 3 short days, I'm like, yes.
Hashtag is it April yet? Hits way harder for Joe. I'm just saying.
Joe
Once
drinks
a
enough
year,
at
I'm
Jordan Con
surrounded
to
by
spend
friends.
362 days sleeping off his hangover, and then
That's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty good.
Is that why the Jordan Con organizers get such a big discount? Because they know Joe's just sitting in the
Yeah,
bar
they're just like,
year-round?
Joe's racking up the bill for you guys. It doesn't even matter. Next year, give them all the rooms for free. We don't care.
We don't give a shit. Joe upped his game this year, you guys.
Joe has single-handedly
Do not
paid
let his
for
liver
these-
be
Yeah,
sacrificed.
we've been there for
in vain.
Tom's been to a bunch of them. Just, I mean, for a while he lived up north, so he wasn't coming down for Jordan Con and stuff.
I've been to like 80%.
Yeah, you've been to a lot of them. Yeah, just not literally everyone.
Right.
Less so in
But
recent
yeah,
years.
we have a good time at Jordan Con. It's always fun. We have a live show. You guys are sometimes there in attendance with us, or maybe
true.
sometimes sit down for 5 seconds and then get kicked out of your chair unrightfully by somebody that shouldn't have been there. You know,
It
I just go-
happens.
Well, no,
I go when I
got
want.
kicked out of the chair for somebody that should have been there. I got delayed
Uh-uh.
from the chair.
yeah, that's right.
You know what? No, you earned that seat, Andrew. Okay.
He did. I told him
Yeah.
to sit
You-
there. I
You
was
tell
filming
Maria that she can kick rocks next time. Okay. Gosh.
I'll be sure to not do that. Oh, sorry,
No, but,
Maria. I don't
these
think
are
you
the-
actually understand who I am.
I don't think Maria can-
That's when she's like, "No, actually, I have no idea who you are."
I don't think it'd be a good idea for Maria to kick rocks.
No,
I
No,
don't think that would not go well.
that would
probably
go
not.
well. And then Andrew would be like, "I'm from the Black Tar Podcast," and she'd be like, "You mean the dude that got sloppy drunk in front of me? Really? You're proud of that?"
Yeah.
Who is Maria for people that don't know?
Mm.
Maria
Oh.
is one of Team Jordan and the editor of
Man.
The Wheel of Time.
That's weird. Where can we
One
see her?
of. One of. We can see her soon on our show next week
Oh, sweet.
What?
for
Double
like no
flex.
reason.
Unsolicited
I love
plug.
I love that so much. Everybody go watch.
We're gonna have
Squadcast.
Maria on next week. We were just not done talking about season 2, which is another great thing that we're off this week and we get to be on your show and talk about season 2.
Hell.
Yeah,
But we were like,
If
hey,
you're listening to
let's
this
see if
publicly,
Maria
when
wants
they
to come
say
on.
like when they say next week, they mean this week as this came out publicly.
That's true.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
'Cause we do like
so
a
I don't know
week-
Because
when
we
the
have
show
our
comes
lead
out.
time.
Yeah.
So you'll have this will be live for all listeners on the
Go back and look up
17th.
Squadcast on the 14th. of
Yeah, that's right.
November
Yeah.
2026.
So we
Wait,
had
so
Maria
how was
on the
it?
show.
How was it having Maria on your show, guys?
I think
Well-
it went well.
What's going to happen next Tuesday is you're going to watch, starting at 8:30, 30 minutes of technical difficulties, and then roughly
Par for the course.
35 minutes of Maria knitting and staring at us with deep judgment.
Yeah.
And then
I've
of us-
And
seen
then
that
there will
look.
be some like really insightful moments, but
And
there will
then-
be few and far between.
yeah, and then one of us will receive the text that she has to go, and then we'll
Yeah.
vamp for 20 minutes, and we'll wrap the show up.
Is that usually when her patience is worn thin? And
It's,
Honestly,
Donna will
anymore?
say one too many things and slowly weigh
Yeah.
her down.
I think she might have like a just a card where she just makes marks. And
Yeah.
once it gets to like 4,
She said the Jono time limit. That's 3 in the first 2 minutes. This isn't going well.
I think she's willing
your
to stay
multipliers.
Yeah.
She'll stay
She's
through
got like
4. Harriet won't stay for more than 2. Jono comments, and once it hits
She's got a
2,
public perception.
she's
check
like, I have to
card.
go. Mm.
I love how quickly, and also it's quite clear because it's Jono.
Oh, yeah.
So Jono will say something, and then like 2
Every
minutes later, he'll be like, "And I'll see you later. I'm tired."
Every time.
I'm like, okay.
Like, yeah, my
And
public
then I-
perception can survive about 5 Jono jokes. Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Love
You know,
it.
When we talk afterwards, he's like, do you think that's because of what I said at that one time? And I'm like, yeah,
And we're
it's
like, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
You should just be like, actually, the better question is, do you think it was not because of
Yeah.
what
Do
you
you
said?
think it was? Is that what you think? Because that's insane.
I do want to say, Joe and Tom, I want to say you're welcome because we have someone in the chat. He who comes with the wine, who says, I'm going to watch this podcast for the first time ever. So
Oh.
you're welcome for the followership.
One.
One more
Yeah.
time. One more
all
time.
the difference in your metrics. You're welcome.
I don't know if that's going to last.
So we're here to talk about the Wheel of Time. We're here to talk about specifically the Wheel of Time TV show, specifically season 2 of the Wheel of Time TV show, and specifically So last week we did our yay, you guys did this good. This week is the
okay.
Yeah, Tom's on the right episode.
Now here's the thing. Since you guys were not on the last week's episode, if you would like to throw out real quick, like something that you liked about season 2, get in there. Go in there. Just go hard. But keep in mind, we only have 4 hours to record tonight, so I need you to keep it succinct.
What did I like? I like things. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'll say this. On our show, Jono's somewhere in the middle, and Tom's kind of in the I don't like any of this spectrum, and I'm kind of, not full on I love everything, but I, more critical, but I still like stuff, kind of thing. So I'm on the other side. But
I don't even think
there's definitely things I like.
Go ahead.
For it. You go.
I was just going to say, let me ask you this. If I say to you, don't think of it as an adaptation. Think of it as more of a inspired by the events of.
Hate that.
And remove yourself a little bit from the books. Does that make it better or worse?
Worse. That's something I'm completely disinterested in.
Well,
I hate those movies that are like inspired by true events, and it's like the one actual true event was like, yes, I saw a vagabond on the bus, and that inspired Jeepers Creepers.
And then Hollywood was like, yeah, but what if he was a serial killer?
Yeah, I mean, in theory, everything's inspired by real events.
Yeah.
I think there's a fine line. So inspired by the books, I think is the wrong way to go. Adaptation of the books and understanding that it's an adaptation of the books, I think is fine. But I don't want anything less than an adaptation.
Barely.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, adaptation means change and differences. It doesn't mean like so far different that it's not even remotely the same thing. Like, that's where you
see. And this is where I kind of get it, because an adaptation to me says we take the story from the books, we work it a little bit and say now it's good for TV. But I feel like the TV show has kind of stepped one step beyond that, because instead of taking the story in the books and just and adapting that story, what they've done is they've said, okay, we like the books, we love the book, and I'm not gonna get out here and be like,
do you think they said
Rafe
that
sucks and he hates the books? I'm not gonna say that. What I am gonna say though is that
I do distinctly remember in season 1 Rafe distinctly saying that the show was not made for book lovers. So he did. He's straight up and great, awesome, wonderful. But my thing is kudos to Rafe about being honest. Like, that's
sure.
At least you weren't like being like, no, book lovers should love it. It's absolutely a shot for shot remake, because we've seen how well that turns out. Winter Dragon.
Well, and we
I'm on record saying I like Winter Dragon better than anything I've seen from this show.
Oh wow!
Damn.
I mean, Winter Dragon did have Billy Zane. Which Billy, you never call, you never write.
Seriously, Billy Zane, like, what are you doing?
Can we
man?
Can we push that to the end of the show and like talk about that for like at least 5 straight minutes?
Yes. We will dedicate the last 3 hours of the stream to that.
Something.
Yeah.
Like, he forgot he put the Heart of the Ocean in the jacket, and then put the jacket on Rose.
I mean, don't you at least want him to just be like, leave me alone?
At least once. I'm gonna tweet at him again right now.
He's like, if these Wheel of Time nerds don't leave me the fuck alone, I swear.
Here's the real question from our kind of joking, friendly competition on Twitter to constantly try to get him on one of our shows. If he were to be on our show, how much would your heart break? Because if he was on your show, I would lose it. I'd be inconsolable for like a month.
It's like, oh, that's a hard decision because, like, yeah, we'd be heartbroken that he wasn't on ours, but we'd also be like incredibly happy for y'all.
No, I'd be happy.
Dude, I'd also be like right there, front row.
No, I mean,
a million miles an hour.
Billy Zane
like,
came on our show, you'd be on the show with us, with him. You know?
We can't have too
just be
many
sitting on the.
we can't have too many people on Billy
outside.
Zane. Billy fucking Zane.
You can't have too many heads taken away from Billy Zane.
Nah.
You just see Josh and I in the bushes behind Tom outside, just going, "It's chill."
Is there a StreamYard option to put a screen in the middle?
No, but you can blow one of them up to be like, this is the prominent person. You know,
Okay.
we could do that.
You can.
We'll just all be little tiny squares off to the side.
Mr.
Zane, Mr. Zane, what do you think?
Bill.
Shit, I forgot what I was. To Andrew's credit, when he was talking about Rafe and his comments about the show, Daniel Henney gave an interview before season 2 premiered, and he was also very honest. He was also talking about, hey, we made some decisions in season 1, and they were not great, and we made some mistakes in season 1, so we're going to spend season 2 kind of addressing some of those and moving past that. And I was at the time very appreciative of that sort of that honesty, that like, oh wow, like you guys realize that you've done, and I don't want to like get out here and be, like I hated everything about it, but at the same time, you guys realize you've done a disservice to the story in a way. You've done a disservice to the books in a way. And I like that. I think that's really nice to be aware of that.
Let's take this moment really quick because Rafe watches all of our episodes. So does Sarah.
Of course,
so does
he does. He's a huge
everybody
fan.
Involved in it. Bezos himself watches what we think about.
It's true.
He doesn't even work for Amazon anymore.
Yeah, like
but he's still interested in the wheel time, Tom. He's a fan.
Yeah,
he's a fan. Okay.
And this is going to cost us our 3rd and 4th yacht. That's fine. It's okay. At least we still have the other 2. But this episode, as we said at the start, is meant to be our criticism of season 2. For whatever reason, whether it's stuff we have like an issue with artistically, whether we think it was just done bad, whether we preferred the books more often, or whether the opinion is that this part or the entirety of it is just absolute trash. That's what this episode is for. So.
So the point is, we're not going to caveat everything we say with, but we don't mean that to be mean. We can just say that all up front.
Offensive.
Wait,
but...
can I caveat all my comments with I do mean it to be mean?
Of course.
Yes,
yeah, you can. Absolutely.
Except for Tom.
Except for Tom.
I will say this.
Tom wants you to go home
one
and cry
thing.
into your pillow. Feel remorse for what you've done.
Much more than that.
Oh God. The one thing about season 2 that I really felt like was just bad. It was just bad. You've got Lan and Rand who literally did nothing. They accomplished 0 in season 2. And
people you didn't see in the same scene together at all throughout all of season 2.
And no. You saw them once for 10 seconds. And then Swan was like, "Oh, I see Lan prepared you."
Yeah, that's right.
I just saw the dude outside for the first time in a year. Like,
that's so. Just unpack that sentence for like a minute there, Josh. Like that right there is like, it's like they only threw that line in for book people. So like, if it's not for us that like the books, like why are they saying shit like that? Because Lan wouldn't have had time to prepare him to do anything other than to say like, walk like this. Like he had 0 time. Yeah, so like, why throw that in at all, other than to just be like, oh, look, it's kind of like the books, and you're like, why are you even doing that? Just write your own dialogue at that point, because this scene doesn't make any sense.
I had the exact same criticism of Rand v. Turok.
Yeah, okay.
Like, what does it take to earn a heron mark on this? Pow! Ha! Gang, bitch, let's go.
Fight.
Cool.
I didn't hate that or anything. Like, I got why they did that. Because he wasn't trained. And him fighting him for real would have been dumb. And if he had won, I would have been like, what the fuck? So
I
like
don't know.
the fact that he used the one power, I was
hear
like,
you.
oh, okay, at least he can do that, and that makes sense in a way in the show, So
Well,
He
they
knows
kind of
better
tried to
using
give
the
him a
one power,
lifeline.
though.
They tried to give him a lifeline via, which is hilarious. Like I kind of love it, but I also like it's disingenuous to the books that in the show there's a mental health institute in Kyrian or Karian or whatever you want to say. Like that doesn't exist in the books. There is no mental
hated
health care
that.
facility for anybody in the books, much less any of the mentally unstable or mentally damaged men in the books. Which actually is kind of like surprising given Robert Jordan's background.
It's weird to
yeah.
hand wave Asmodean away and the role that he's supposed to play and replace him with Logain, but then build
if
like
they have
a
done
really
that.
lengthy and intricate storyline, just with that's just different.
That does nothing.
But they had the one dude,
you know what I mean?
The
Like,
one sword master that was like completely unhinged. That kind of was like alluded to maybe teaching Rand some stuff. So it's like there was an avenue for them to explore him being able to sword fight, but it's like it just wasn't enough. So given how they set up everything, the way they did with Rand and Turok makes more sense than having Rand go into a sword fight and actually win.
Oh, completely,
But my criticism is what we were talking about is the line. The line. Why did Turok say that when it was not when the Heron isn't visible?
No,
the Heron isn't visible.
But it was though.
It was.
Yeah. Rand's sword was up over his shoulder. He like distinctly like the camera even like pans up to it. And he's like, "Oh shit!"
Even so,
it's over here.
It was like the one
he got all excited.
Heron on the hilt.
Yeah. He definitely saw the Heron. Like you know.
Okay, cool.
I'm just saying.
Awesome.
Like literally,
wonderful.
It's not like he just saw Rand had a sword and he's like, "Let's see if this guy can fight."
Everybody over here has a sword. Cool. But where I'm going with this is that in that last confrontation between Rand and Ishamael, they went out of the way to make sure that Rand could contribute nothing to that.
Yeah, it was a little odd.
They actually went like, okay, I don't have a problem with Egwene putting up a shield and like, okay, cool, great. You know, that gives her some character sort of some catharsis, you know, from her
from being the weapon
in the season. She says, I could have defended him, you know, cool, great, wonderful, awesome, wonderful, great, awesome. Perrin jumps in with the shield, Matt comes in with the spear, like it's Avengers Assemble. I love it, except for they go out of the way to make sure Rand can't do anything. Until
it seemed like the show was trying to make that scene more of a like, this is where Rand is declared. It has really nothing else to do with like him fighting or whatever. And I think what they're trying to do in my mind is build Rand's like really big fight battle scenes up in a slow climactic way for like season after season after season. So they don't want to show him fighting Ishmael this early because you want to fight him again later maybe, or as Morden, or like, you know what I mean? And you don't want to see like season after season of Rand doing some big thing. And I get that. I mean, if that's what they're doing, though, but like I'm extrapolating that. You know what I mean? It's like, so I don't know what they're doing.
What are you talking about? That
no. Building up the epicness of a scene is like as important as like showing cool stuff happening all the time. You know what I mean? Like that you can show it in a different way. That's all I'm saying. So like for them, they might have just taken that scene and gone, oh yeah, it's really more important that he's seen as the dragon at the end of it, less than they fight literally. You know, kind of thing.
See, that's my biggest problem with season 2 is that
I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying I think that's what the reasoning is.
Yeah, my biggest problem is that they've given Rand Perrin's storyline from the books, in the fact that Perrin does fuck all the first 2 to 3 books.
Perrin did
and now Rand has done
10 books.
Yeah, well, true. Rand has done nothing, and the whole Eye of the World scene from the books is meant to show the reader in book 1 just how significantly incredible and terrifying and powerful the dragon is supposed to be.
Especially untrained and untapped and not knowing what he's doing. And like, you know, it's almost more dangerous that he doesn't know what he's doing, you know?
Yeah. And so like, okay, we don't get that in season 1. We get some kind of dream sequence, fat Buddha statue, stand up and hold it out to you like it's a gift, and blah, we're done. Okay. Not a big fan, but shit had to change. COVID, blah, blah, blah. 50,000 excuses that people make for things to not be all that exciting.
Okay.
So season 2 to me should be like the redeeming time. This should be where we get to see why Rand as the dragon should be such of a concern. Right now, they have done absolutely nothing other than Moraine providing exposition as to why the dragon is even that important.
Yeah,
right now
she's like, he's that fucking important. You know, like that's really the only.
They've shown literally every other character, especially from Monsfield, to do more and be more powerful than Rand.
I don't know. I think
Rand
Nynaeve did jack all this
and be
season
like,
too.
Clint Eastwood stare.
No,
Aaron learned about the wolves. That's kind of it. You know, like he didn't do a whole lot. You know, in the end, you know,
well, there was no room.
Yeah, I know he had the fucking shield and jumped in, but that was stupid.
Yeah, but he still stood up to Ishii. Like Perrin and Egwene both stood up to Ishii, which I have massive problems with. Because the level of strength and Perrin shouldn't even be able to stand up to him, period. Especially from a shield from a hero, the Horn of Valyr, who at this point is already poofed. So how did the shield stay there? I don't see how it's still there, but whatever.
Well, no, they haven't poofed yet, had they?
No, they haven't poofed.
Yeah, because they see Rand get like the dragon swirl up behind him. He's standing on the tower, and then they like fade away.
Ha! Andrew,
the point stands for the point still stands for after the fight because the shield's still there and it makes no fucking sense. Everything else
also true.
None of it makes sense.
Either way, like Egwene, even going through what she did with the Shan-Chan, still has not learned nearly enough to be able to shield blows from a Forsaken, much less Ishmael.
From the Forsaken,
yeah. And people are like, oh well, Ishii was holding back. Like, no, he was already resolved.
You know, the first moment when he steps out there and he like waves her away and she smacks against the wall.
Yeah. Yes.
Like it should have been her throwing a shield up in front of Rand for 2 milliseconds and then him waving her away and smashing her against the wall. That should have been
her not there
of her
right.
shield.
They could have done that. Then Perrin runs in and does a little bit and they survive. And that's just barely enough time for Rand to be unshielded. And then Rand gets to actually fight Ishii. And then he doesn't hold the fucking sword by the blade because who the hell does that? And they already made the weird change to put the Heron on the hilt only when Turok's looking at it for some fucking reason. Could have just kept that there, and that's how he could have branded. Like they could have.
Maybe that's Turok's power.
Why was that the blade instead of the hilt? Why did they make that change?
Why did they make any of the changes?
That's the problem. I'm saying, like, why did you change that? Who
it was an unnecessary change, right?
Yeah, they put it on the hilt.
It's like, what is the point of
Turok.
that change?
That's the weirdest thing. They put it on the hilt during the scene with Turok, but then it's gone.
And it's like made of brass, like it's made of metal, like or whatever. So it's like made like clearly it's a metal ornamentation on his hilt, as in it would have burned the fuck out of him if his hand was on it.
It's like
so you don't need to go.
Of season 1 and season 2, we just haven't seen that side of the hilt of Rand's sword. I guess
he could have dropped. I mean, he could have dropped the sword hilt after that fight, and then it could have been like red hot for like a second, you know, like the door handle in Home Alone kind of thing, and then he could have been like, "Oh shit, yeah, my hand."
Well, you mean it was hot and I held on to it for more than a half a second?
When Joe said the door handle like Home Alone, and you got excited, you should have gone like this. It was right there.
Like, look, I'm a,
and then he runs down the stairs and puts his hand in the snow.
I love swords. And I'm not one of those. Okay, if you're one of those people who are like,
I love swords.
Sword isn't a katana. Shut up.
Who cares?
Nobody cares.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe it's a katana. Maybe it's not.
Are people drilling down on that?
I mean,
they really are, dude.
People aren't finding anything to be mad about.
Go back and look at our
sword. And traditionally,
our single-edged, slightly curved sword, but it's totally not. Absolutely not a katana.
It sounds like you're describing a katana.
But there's so many other issues.
Yeah.
That's so small.
But that's where I'm right. Thank you.
When people are like, I'm not sure about these clothes. When people are like, I'm not sure about the clothes this person's wearing.
I'm going to shout out. I'm going to shout out Jim.
And I don't appreciate you calling it small.
Whoa, excellent.
I'm going to shout out
the perfect size.
Am I just finding out now that we've broken up?
The big ones hurt.
No, I'm just saying you sound like somebody that I used to know.
I'm going to shout out Jim from The Way of the
You have
Heron.
gone out of your way to at least 3 different times to make it very clear that someone broke up with you.
Oh yeah, Josh, you have both of your replicas, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
Just done.
I think Josh and I are both dying.
The biggest thing that kills me about the entire season is that we're combining books 2 and 3, and we're devoting.
Yeah.
We only have 8 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
We're devoting entire episodes to a single chapter or a paragraph or something that happened in between paragraphs that didn't even have
or something that just never fucking happened in the books. That we're just.
To me, it's disdainful of the books. It's like, hey, there's some good stuff here. Let's see what we can do with it. It's kind of like how I feel like it was approached, instead of like, hey, how can we make this a TV show? And that's kind of sums up my feelings of it. Like every time I watch it, it's very frustrating to me.
Well,
like,
and I even look at it going,
okay, but I think we can make it a lot better because it's not great. And like, I think it is great. So I'm frustrated.
I mean, yes. First off, 100% yes. I feel exactly where you're going with that. And my complaints with the show.
Stop.
And this is
why background character.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Thank
Season
you.
Much
3
as we
better
talk
bring
about
him
the
into
books-
the front of the show, or I'm going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk
Like,
about the books.
I might actually be like Tom and be like, I'm out.
Like, talking about the books.
Like season 1, I could get with it because it's like it's a mystery who the dragon is, and I'm like, all right, fine. I hate this.
That was also a mistake.
And then as that unfolded, and the reveal of it was still pretty cool. Like when they showed where he had been channeling back throughout the season, I was like, okay, that was pretty cool. But like,
it's a great idea if nobody has the internet.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like everyone's just like, who is it?
Instantly the inverse of the books, because the books you knew it was Rand because the books only talked about Rand, like 90% of book 1. The TV show, it's like, okay, who's the one character they don't actually really talk about or have do anything? Rand.
But my problem with that is that we still didn't get enough time spent with like the Emmons Fielders to like get enough red herrings or clues that it is Rand or isn't Rand. Like we have like an episode where they say 1 month later. We spent 2 episodes dealing with the death of a warder and the Aes Sedai, and I'm like, why the fuck do I care about these characters? They should be showing me what's going on with Perrin and Matt and Rand and Egwene and everybody, that kind of thing. And then so like fast forwarding to the end of the season where you're just like, it's COVID related and Matt disappears for no reason. And then like, all these weird changes they made. And you're just like, what the fuck is going on?
It seems
so
like
season 2 was incredibly much better compared to season 1 to me. But there's still a lot of issues that were set up in season 1 that they're having to like fix to get back on track, sort of. But I don't know if they fixed them all that well. Like
do you think
still...
somebody walked in and they were like, do we have time for Gaul? And they're like, no, we have to devote at least 1 hour to Moraine's sister we made up.
Yeah.
Well, she did have a sister in the book, but
but her sister in the book's got like 2 lines.
Oh yeah, and like Darth Mayonnaise is revealed to be a dark friend.
I overall agree, but at least
they spent a lot of time in this season.
Made up character like, I don't know, Layla Ibarra.
Like, fair enough. They spent a lot of time with like Leandrin and Barf Mayonnaise and like a few of the other characters that were dark friends. Sorry, I mean dark.
They killed Layla.
What's his name? Real name? I forget.
You say Barf?
That's what we call it on our show.
Barf money.
What's his name? Forget.
Barth.
What's his name?
Darth Banis.
At least they killed Layla right away.
Yeah, but I mean, like so I liked the aspect of the show that was like, hey, it's not just crazy zealot psychos that are evil people that are dark friends. Like there was reasons to be a dark friend, and I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of I like this, and that's a change from the books. But that's one that I was like, okay, I'm enjoying this. But then you drop the fucking ball with Ingtar at the end. I'm like, what the fuck? That was the whole point of season 2 of the show. Like, what the fuck?
One man could hold 50 here.
That came out of nowhere.
Instantly dies after the second.
And they weirdly set it up in the beginning of the season too. Like it was like they had it set there. Like he had the conversation of like they were burying the guy anyway, even though Perrin was like, "Why are we burying them?" Even though he was a dark friend, he's like, yes. You don't understand what we go through in the blight or like up at the blight border and like all the stuff and and he's like, he still deserves a proper burial even though he's a dark friend and blah blah blah. And I was like, that's a huge setup for later, and then it's just
like an absolute moron.
and just pans out to nothingness.
You don't have a guy sit there and go, one man could hold 50 in this spot, and then they
can't die from three people,
and then
yeah.
At least give us a time skip and show 20 bodies laying on the ground. I don't
even want that. I want leave them behind, and then I want to hear yelling as they're running away.
There's deleted scenes and stuff, and I get that.
That was another thing. They were all right there when he died. The whole point is that he's holding the back, and they leave, and I'm like, they're not gone. They're still fighting, and he's dying.
There's a saying: the road to hell is the path to hell is paved with good intentions. They're gonna have all the intentions to make that line make sense, but the thing is, ultimately, when you do a final cut for what's gonna be the mass production, you can't count on people watching deleted scenes, hearing about deleted scenes, and going, "Oh no, here's I forgive you for this in the main thing." No, you literally had Ingtar go, one man can hold 50 in this space, and then the next scene died to 3 people. So
I don't even mind that they changed that to a parent conversation. I don't love it, but parents spent the time with him hunting the horn for whatever reason, and
did he?
Yeah,
though?
yeah. I mean, in the beginning of the season,
implied.
Just kind of walked around with it because the Sean Chan were like, nobody would ever.
They had been on the road for a long time, guys. We just didn't see it.
So I mean, this theory.
I get the intention, but if it doesn't make it into the final cut in a way that doesn't make Ingtar look like a fool or make sense with the statements, then for your mass consumer audience, it just looks like you made this guy make a statement from a culture that is supposed to be superb in war and analysis, especially Ingtar as a commander.
Yes.
Of the within Shinar, and he's like, I could hold 50 people, and then you just make him look like a damn fool, a fucking light blinded fool, immediately after, and I think that's very infuriating, especially for book readers, because we get Ingtar in the books, who has this very noble redemption arc of literally doing that. I can hold 50 people in this pass, and that's where Ingtar makes his last stand, and it's impactful and it's emotional. And I get it. We didn't have the time on screen to get to be emotionally invested in Ingtar. That's fine. I get that.
We could have,
but don't get it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't get that in the TV show.
No, he said I don't get it.
No, I'm saying you say I get it, but I'm saying you should not get it, because even if you're combining books 2 and 3 into one season, that's 8 episodes. That's 2 4-hour movies. Those are both longer than the extended versions of the Lord of the Rings. You could have told both stories in 4 hours if you needed to.
A lot with that.
And if you had to move pieces around and make that work, you make it work. But instead, they didn't. To me, it looks like they didn't even try. They just took themes from book 3, plugged them into book 2, threw the story for book 2 out, and just kind of here's
let's fix season Z, 1 with season 2. Yeah, we'll throw some crap in.
Yeah. No.
So it's very frustrating.
It's not very concise storytelling. I will say that. I think that's one of my main problems with it, because they have so much time, like Tom's saying. They have 8 full episodes, and even if you're cramming 2 books into it, like Tom's saying, and I know the intention, I think, is that some of book 3 will still be in season 3. There wasn't all of book 3 in this season.
You should be able to find a way to do each book in 3 hours. And
and then you have an hour extra to expand on what you think needs expanding, like a Gween being collared or whatever, that whole thing. And I loved that episode. It was a fantastic episode. But
I don't feel like they're trying. I don't feel like they're interested in trying.
I think they're just spending too much time on characters that they don't need to be spending time on, like Moraine, because it's Rosamund Pike.
Agree.
And it's because it's Rosamund Pike that they're doing it, which is okay, I guess, because that's TV and that's a star. Great. But that's not the story, and you're just gonna do a disservice to. But the millisecond you start wasting any other time with someone else like Steppen in season 1, I'm just like, why am I watching this warder cry? I don't care. I want to see what's going on with Matt and Rand and Perrin and the Gween, and
So I have this theory when it comes to storytelling. When it comes to any kind of movie, when it comes to any kind of book, when it comes to any kind of storytelling at all, there is a sort of onus upon the audience, right? It is my job as a consumer of this story to connect certain dots. Cool. That's me. And the storyteller, if they're good, is going to create a world that is interesting enough for me to want to connect the dots. Cool. Great. Awesome. Wonderful. However, the story falls out of balance when the storyteller does not create an environment that is interesting enough for me to want to do the work for them on the back end to make the story they presented make sense. Now, where I'm going with this is I feel like the TV show is, Rafe will say, hey, this isn't for the readers. This is to introduce the Wheel of Time to a whole new
world.
Yeah. Great. Awesome. Wonderful. My brother is in our Discord as the new Poison Checker Mahale. He's great. I love him to death. He has not read a single book. He has watched both seasons of the TV show, and he is asking me questions going, what the hell just happened? And I'm like, bro, I wish I could answer, but all I can give you is explanations in the books. And if you're putting that much responsibility on an audience, I feel like you're not telling a good enough story.
And that's my problem. It's not that it's not as good as the books, or it should be closer, and it should be closer to the books. But
exactly,
it's really more about like the missing. It's the little changes that they make that have ramifications, and I know what those ramifications are because I've read the books. Blah blah blah. But like I understand. But just in the cases of storytelling, like for instance, it really drove me crazy, and this is just a small thing, but like Moraine stopped the dagger from cutting her in season 1. Like she stopped it with the one power. Like Matt went to cut her. And Lan is just like across the room, like behind her somewhere. And like, how badass would it have been to show him be a goddamn one Batman like he is, and 2 a warder, and somehow be across the room faster than you could blink, and he's holding the dagger before it cuts her throat. And like, you took that moment away from him and gave it to Moraine, which is like not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. But at the end of the day, you're taking little pieces away of like what makes Lan such a badass to everyone that's ever read the books, and potential viewers of the show that don't know the books. Like that's not about a book moment. That's about like Lan showing what a warder is.
Sword, kill people.
Yeah,
that's all he did.
Also with Lan, because Lan was like when the Murtaugh showed up in season 2, he was like, as he and Moraine lay there bleeding and dying, he's like, I'm sorry, I should have sensed them. And it's like, according to the TV show, no, you shouldn't have, because one was on a cliff right above your camp. Yeah, and nobody reacted until it.
And you had no idea.
Clearly, that's not part of the warder bond now. So, like,
even now,
having completely masked off the bond, which I don't get how they're making that make sense. Well, she did that before she left for the Blight in season 1, is how they're implying, right?
And then they rewrote it to make it seem like she took his bond away and didn't just mask it, which is insane.
I think it's still masking, but they're making the masking related directly to channeling. Like, you have to channel the mask into existence.
I think that's what I think is happening. I think they're saying
the mechanics of that. So
I think they're saying that Moraine masked the bond to go into the Blight, and because she was shielded, was unable to remove the mask on the bond, because
it is mind.
She physically rebonds him in season 2. Like
it is mind blowing that the 4 of us
said, "Let me back in." Like I took it as the bond was still there.
Anything on this show.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Actually, this simple relationship.
We're skirting around this larger problem, and this is something that's only a show problem, and not like it's not about like, oh, this is me being mad. It's not like the books. It's just there's a lot of inconsistencies with what they're doing in the show, just in the show. Like the dagger does mean something, and then it doesn't, and then it kills people instantly, and then Loyal gets stabbed
and it's
with
a lightsaber.
And then it does this, then nothing, and then it melts a door, and like it does. Like the dagger makes no fucking sense from point A to point B in the series at all.
In season 2,
never explains how Pan gets the dagger. They never explained how Loyal survived getting stabbed by the fucking dagger. They never mention it. It's not even a line of dialogue.
It's pretty
Like,
good.
if I'm watching that show and I just watched the show, I would be like, why the fuck is Loyal alive?
Well, the cop out is Rand is now permanently scarred because Elaine is just not that good at healing.
Yes, and how much more powerful would that have been if Nynaeve had done it and fucked up? Which he still could have looked up at her and gone, Elaine, who are you? Like, it doesn't have to be her that does it for him to have that reaction when he sees her.
The perfect times for Nynaeve to be super pissed where she could channel. Instead, she's just like paralyzed by sadness, not even fear. She's not afraid. She just looks fucking depressed.
They mishandled Nynaeve a bunch.
The Soul Dom.
They really did.
But it's like, how do you go from like
the thing is,
a light brighter than the sun in season 1 to like paralyzed does nothing? Which I saw somebody critiquing the fucking her pushing the arrow bolt through Elaine's leg, being like, that's not how you treat
remove
arrows. Like,
the fletchings.
Well, please. No. Well, yeah, remove the fletchings before you push it through. But if it is a true arrow, like a bolt and an arrow are different. A bolt doesn't have the rear-facing barbs. If it was a bolt, you're absolutely right. Pull that shit straight back out. If it's an arrow, you have to push it through because the barbs rip and tear and cause more overall damage pulling them out than if you push it all the way through.
Something of wisdom
was
with
fish hooks. If you fish hook yourself, and the barb is in, you gotta fucking go through because you'll cause more damage and pain trying to pull it
backwards, right?
Rather than pushing it through, cutting the barb off, and pulling it back out.
That
being said, Nynaeve just pushes the end of the shaft into Elaine's leg, and that's it. She never like reaches around and pulls it out the other side of her leg. None of that shit. So Elaine is just walking around with like the weirdest thing sticking out of her leg, and then
I mean, she's just she's not a field medic. She's a wisdom. So like, I get not knowing like the intricacies
of field medic. Most of her clients have been harmed in a horrific field
farming accident.
Yeah.
The thresher took my leg off. Oh, you're dead. Sorry.
Pa done got run over by the tractor.
I think of Django when they shoot the dude in the field as he's plowing the field, and just gets like, Paul.
Yeah, that's the one.
Look at your flowing locks, Josh.
Dude, my flowing locks. It would be so much better if they were, adapted to a TV show.
Well, adapted and modern.
Makes sense. I'm saying shit now. Honestly, look. Joe, I like what you were saying, where the complaint is not entirely,
and not entirely.
It's not the books. Correct.
We get it. Is that
it's not the books.
Show is inconsistent and not giving me something to base the next decision on.
And what they're doing is they're doing this weird thing where they're putting a responsibility on the viewer to look at the bonus material, and I'm like, that's bad
and
storytelling.
On the same hand, a lot of people watch that show and just like it. I mean, like my boss watches the show, hasn't read the books, and him and his wife love it. They love season 1, and I'm just like, okay, great. You're gonna love season 2 because it's way better.
And I want to say this. Look, if
season 2 is better, it's arguably a better show by far.
Hard agree. I feel like if you are someone who's watching this and you're like, well, I like the TV show, like, cool,
which
great,
is fine.
Awesome, wonderful. I'm happy for that. I am happy for that entirely. I want everyone in the world to fall in love with the Wheel of Time, like we have.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
The issue here is not that, oh, Rafe, you jerk, you haven't made a scene for scene remake of the books, and therefore I'm mad. You've created a story. You've created a story in which Lan is of a main character. He's a main character, and you've relegated him in season 2 to sad puppy.
Mm-hmm.
In which he did 2 things. Lan did 2 things. He peed on a tree and he killed a squadron of Seanchan.
Well, he also miraculously had intimate knowledge of channeling and tying off.
Yeah, and
leaves
he
is
had
a
he
forgotten
somehow
talent
found
beneath.
Oh,
something.
right. Because somehow he heard a story that reminded him of a rumor that his
Listen,
sister's
man,
roommate's
channeled
cousin's
one day in my
former
life.
stepdad once said.
Also, I
man,
know
come
book
on.
people won't
I've never
understand this,
channeled
but
one day in
like,
my life. Here's
and
how
I didn't
you
even
fix
notice it,
my
but they say
eyesight.
steading. Like they say steading instead of grove for the gate, and that's hidden in carry. And I didn't even notice it at first, but like everybody else was like, doesn't that mean they wouldn't be able to channel? And I was like,
Oh. Also, Leandrin carries the Wonder Girls through the ways only to set them free after she delivers them to
see,
Shan-Chan.
I don't. That part, not so upset at, because they set Leandrin up to be less of a psycho evil person and more of a
because she just meets up with the
relatable
Shan-Chan
villain,
lady who pissed
and
her off.
I don't mind that so much. She's still a dark friend. and
That
she
makes
still did
sense if you accept that they set Leandrin up to be that way, and I don't accept that. That's fucking annoying.
I think
I
I did.
figured she only did it because the dark friend she met was an absolute ass to her and was like, "You'll be bowing before me," and "No, you'll be bowing before me."
I think that's exactly what she did. Yeah, I think she was
So
just like,
I
"Fuck
think
you."
that's the only reason.
I'm gonna cause you problems. I don't think she was like, "I'm a good guy now." I think she was just like, "Oh yeah, fuck you, bitch. How about this?"
That's
what I'm more.
you know what I just
confused
okay.
you know what I
by
just realized
is
that's
that
makes
none
it
of the
better,
Soldam
but-
or Damane went, "Oh, she's
Wait,
doing
what,
a
Tom?
thing." Like,
That's-
how did none of
that's
the
Ingtar's-
Damane go like, "What the fuck"?
Oh
she
yeah,
took
that's true.
Ingtar's story. The redeemable, relatable dark friend. It's Leandrin now instead of Ingtar.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And then
Oh
so
my god, that's a good point.
they also just made her Darth
I'm
Vader.
supposed to feel bad for her because
Because she only went to the dark side to save someone she loved from death.
And then that
hey,
person
Darth
died
Vader, calm
anyway.
down.
We don't call her Lamphere anymore. We call her Vampire.
Vampire.
Oh,
Oh, the vampire Lanfear?
Yeah,
I actually-
Vampire Lamphere?
She's got the second strongest cheekbones in all of the Wheel of Time TV shows.
I mean,
suck your blood.
story
not
story
mad at
beats that should have been changed aside. Lanfear, the actor, crushed it. I loved her.
Yeah, she was good.
She
Oh,
did
yeah.
a great job. I was like, she's equal parts scary and hot and intimidating and strong and like just all the things that Lanfear should be. I was just like, bravo.
Wait, hold
Love
on.
I said it
it.
before.
Love every second.
We have
I
a
think
thing
the
for
actors
this.
were great.
Mark me down as
Wait, hold on.
scared.
I gotta get rid of the band.
And
There we
get
go.
rid of the banner. God.
Scared and horny.
Look, we now have two Peaky Blinders actors. We have Aram, played by shit.
That's what I call stalkers. I don't care about.
Joe, who
Aram.
plays Aram?
Who plays Aram?
Brendan Fraser from
No,
Encino.
Daryl, someone. Brendan Fraser. Look,
It's
if
Encino
Brendan
Man.
Fraser was in this show, he would have to be
Daryl
like
McCormick.
Samael or Ravine.
Daryl McCormick.
That would be a mislead.
That's what I said.
I
Brendan
am-
Fraser.
McCormick.
I
Thank
am
you, Andrew.
furious you can't put the graphic up.
Yeah,
I know.
it's spelled Daryl McCormick, but it's pronounced Brendan Fraser. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's
And
it.
then
It's spelled
Natasha
that.
O'Keefe is our second Peaky Blinders actor, and she's killing it. I think the Peaky Blinders actors are killing it. Maybe there's a theme here. So
we always
season
saw-
3, we'll
we
see
always saw
Cillian
Aram in, like, two
Murphy
scenes in the last one. He was
as
flat on his ass, which I loved.
How did you guys feel about the Dark Prophecy actually being some sort of dark magic chant that the Shamael had to chant in order to bring back Vampire Lamphere to come out of a blood bubble? And then if you stab her in the heart and cut her throat, she just pops back to life and she's like, I'm going to get you. But then she forgets how to teleport.
Tom, she had to track him on the horse.
And-
Also, everyone knows Moraine has a tell.
Moraine.
I like
I
that
don't
you
understand how she didn't find him.
I like that
And
you try to put the
then-
laws of traveling on me after she just was Vampire Lamphere.
Yeah.
Like,
So this is
Moraine,
courtesy of
instead of
podcast.
taking the fourth horse with her, kills it. You
This
have
is
to
courtesy-
kill it.
Josh.
You can't just take the horse with you. You have to kill it.
Yeah, Josh. This is courtesy of Twatcast to explain the Brendan
Sorry.
Fraser.
Sorry. There it is. Bam. Thank you. Appreciate that.
How similar they look.
That's goddamn. Okay. Okay. I see it now. I
Aaron
see it.
Cito, man.
And
That's what we
Aaron
call him.
Cito, man.
if Brendan Fraser doesn't make an appearance in the show
I've
now,
seen a couple of
I'm
them.
going to be pissed.
Oh, I mean, he should.
I'm already pissed.
He's an amazing. He's an amazing actor.
Look, oh God. Okay, so Reese / Aludra in the chat has made an excellent point. You can stab Lanfear literally through her heart,
Neck.
then pull the dagger out and slash her
and
throat,
then slash her throat. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
and then she just goes respawn.
Yeah.
But if you get one dude who just goes to Ishii and goes,
Well, no. So
that's different.
Ishmael
He
even
beat up
had
the
a
sword,
conversation with
it'd
Pat
be
and
like
Fane
a
that
lightsaber.
only
And he
she
kinda
has that
wiggled
power
it around.
right now.
He made it a lightsaber and he wiggled it around a little bit. So,
oh,
and
Is that
he was
rules?
flanked by his friends. So the power of friendship.
He made it a lightsaber, and the power of friendship turns you to dust.
Oh my
Didn't you know
god!
that?
Yeah.
I hated
Which
the
he
ending.
didn't,
of that
he
so
didn't
much.
leave the little
Actually,
ring
you know
behind.
what?
So
Actually, we're all missing a key point to that technique.
by
Rand-
believing you.
Grabbed the blade of the sword.
Of the lightsaber.
You know what
which is
that
fine.
means? That
That's fine.
means
All his fingers are still
true
there.
death. It means true death. You just
Pat and Fane and Ishmael, unfortunately, have a conversation that Lanfear is turning against them, and then Pat and Fane says something like, "Well, how are we going to get rid of her? The Dark One gave her immortal life or something like that."
Joe, even
And
that,
he's like,
even
"I
what you
don't
just said,
know.
made,
Let me deal
just
with
said-
that." And I was just like, that is the worst throwaway line to introducing the true power, ever.
Oh gosh, yeah.
you just said Pat and Fane and Ishmael had a conversation, and you kept
And
talking,
then-
and I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah,
Except my own heart
just white noise.
screaming in my ear.
Oh yeah, they just made everything.
I actually
blood
really
magic.
like Pat and Fane in the show, and I like how they've propped him up a little bit and made him
Dude,
more than he is.
wait,
I like
Did they
Pat
just
and
turn Ishii into like Atrocitus from DC? It's all just blood magic now.
Fane. It's blood magic.
Blood calls blood.
That's right.
With hate
Red
and
Lantern.
crimson
Now,
red.
she is Dracula. Blood calls blood.
I
Oh, is
can't
that what it
stand
is? Good lord. I
Which
like
I
how
love-
you
I
guys
love
how,
that version
they,
of Dracula.
They
by
read
the
the
way.
one. They read the one poem or the one prophecy that's like blood calls blood, blood fills blood, and they're like Lanfear, and it's like the
Why
fuck.
does that mean
What if-
Lanfear?
What if
It's like,
someone's
oh,
just
you're talking about
it's
blood.
just
It
that
must
time of the
only
month.
ever mean Lanfear.
Also, again with inconsistencies, she gets stabbed from behind by Moraine and gets her throat cut. She gets up like
Edie?
10
Well, she's
whole
actually
minutes
being
later.
stabbed twice in
Maybe.
that moment.
Maybe that.
She's getting
Maybe
stabbed
they've
from
got 10
under by
minutes.
Rand.
Maybe they, yeah, that's true. Maybe they have 10 minutes of leeway time. Why is she scared in the end with Moghedian? Is she just like, what? What is she like? The net tightens and it like singes her arm or cuts her slightly, and she's like, oh, and I'm like, why do you give a fuck? Like, you just your body gets cut in half. Like, you're gonna get back up apparently.
I
Okay,
get cut
valid.
down. I get up again. No ice and I go to keep me down.
You know, I heard it too, but I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah. Look,
But I was there. I was there.
I feel like the fear is justified for one reason and one reason only. And that is that
The writers
it
deemed
is-
so.
well,
Yeah.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Excluding
What's your reason, Josh?
writers deemed it so, excluding that one. I'm trying to stay like in universe here. I feel like if I am Lanfear and I walk in and Moghedian's standing there and she's got some razor ass spider webs that cut my hand, I'm gonna be like, shit, because the one power is now involved, and this is a person who knows.
Yeah.
I just walked into a trap. Like that.
feel like
Also, in theory, she doesn't know if any of the ones that Ishmael set free are also true power worthy from the dark. She doesn't know she's alone in that. Like, I mean, there's reasons to be scared. It's a Moghedian. It's old Mog. She's scary.
I feel like if I'm Lanfear, I'm disdainful of every other Forsaken, and I think I am destined to rule the world alongside Luce Theron.
No, that's
the rest of them are
I also
fucking
love how,
jokes.
like,
And I'm not afraid of their traps or any of their bullshit because I'm fucking.
When you have a clear
I
advantage.
love how Ishii. Yeah, I love how Ishii's like.
I don't
you know,
think
talking to
Lanfear
Lanfear and is like, "Do you
She
know
is-
why I'm the only one the dark, the great Lord trust with his power? Because I, unlike the rest of you, actually follow in his vision." And it's like, pretty sure we just saw her use the true
Right?
power. Like,
Andrew, I'll Venmo you $20 right now to call Domino's Pizza and order a pizza with that exact accent.
I'd like one of your pepperoni.
But order it to my house. Yes, I know I am in North Carolina.
I don't know why you're not taking him up on that.
Delivered to Ogden,
You have a pizza
Utah.
for later.
Let me tell you why
Free
the
pizza.
Dark One trusts me with his power.
Incredible.
What is that?
pizza order.
The fucking dude that they buy Anakin from in Episode 1 that Liam Neeson buys.
Oh
Anakin
my
from?
God.
Fucking
Watto. Yeah.
Watto, yeah.
And tricks don't work on me. Only money.
Only money.
I was laughing so hard. I was saying the second you said the guy that they buy Anakin off of. I'm like, what?
That's what they do. It's like Jedi. They're supposed to be like these noble, religious, noble warriors of the galaxy.
Oh man,
Let me buy that kid.
I gotta say to any men or women watching that are trying to decide which of the four of us is the most desirable, it's Andrew because he's the only one that didn't know Watto's name.
The obvious answer is Andrew.
The rest of us knew.
Hello to your
Everyone knows
parents.
it's Andrew.
We knew immediately. Oh, Watto?
What do you mean you won't give me your daughter's hand in marriage?
I will say this. One other thing. One thing that continues to be a sticking point, besides neutering Rand and Lan,
In Rand's bed with Celine.
one thing that maintains itself as a sticking point in my mind is this fucking dagger.
It drives me crazy.
It follows zero rules.
Well, it's not a
Apparently-
dagger by
Consistency
the
with the
end.
dagger is insane. Did you guys watch the Dusty Wheel watch with Brandon?
I was about to say,
Brandon
it's
was
no
commenting.
longer a
Yes.
dagger. Now it's
Yes.
the Chandra.
Yeah, let's
So
talk
like,
about that.
I watched that one night because it happened to be like coming on while I was also just up late doing stuff for Twatcast. Like, maybe we just recorded
you
or
were
something, and I
also
was like, oh,
coming
well,
on?
I'll watch this while I'm doing other things. And then I was like, what the fuck? Brandon's on my side since when? You know, like, like so everything he brought up, I was like, couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And then afterwards, the fallout of like everyone being like, you're leaving alone, old man. You know, like, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going?
King,
What's wrong with
He's
you?
right. He's 100% right.
Yeah.
Every kid, every boy.
His
And
criticisms
many
had an analysis behind it and thematic elements that he was like bolstering with evidence from the books, and I'm like, what fault could you possibly find in those arguments?
Dude, every boy and most girls know extremely well that if I have a stick and I tie a thing to the end of the stick,
Yeah,
it lasts about 12 seconds
yeah, everyone knows
before
that, yeah.
it flops off.
Before it breaks off. Yeah,
Oh, that's why I can't do it. I was
Now,
wondering like why
all
I
of
can't
a
like show
sudden-
comments from the stream. It's because the stream got set up as private, not unlisted.
I did
No.
not set it as private.
All right,
How
I-
dare
That
you,
is
Josh?
private.
Or mouth.
I have a real question for you guys. Can you explain to me people's blind insistence on loving this show, no matter
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, Brandon
don't
was
understand.
providing like actual insight as an author of the book series and
And a
reader of the
contributor to-
strips.
and a contributor
of the
to
show. Yes. And he was going, I tried to get them to change this. I don't agree with what they're doing here. And here's why. And so on and so on. And they were like ripping him apart the next day on Twitter about
Yeah.
it. And I'm like, what
And
the
he's
fuck
not-
is this?
He's obviously not extremely online. He probably assumes like, man, this disappointed me as a
Yeah.
lover of
And then
these books.
so
No.
therefore it must disappoint a lot of readers or viewers of the show.
and he's kind of like,
Yeah.
hey, oh yeah, man, I'm sorry, this went this way, not what I wanted. And then instead, just like this cavalcade of people just bashing the guy that finished the goddamn book.
Finish the books.
bashing the guy for being right.
And also, just honest opinion. He's just giving constructive criticism and an honest opinion of what he was viewing. You know, like and
it's the Ashendar.
Very close, thorough analysis of like the scripts he had read and the notes that he had made to them, and they didn't change even based on his opinion, which is fine for them to do. But like at the same time, it's like one of those things where you're just like, it's just him going, I'm sorry, I really didn't want them to do this. I fought really hard on this one note or
not only
this one thing or whatever.
But he's looking at it going.
Yeah, and real quick, and to add on to that, like I've been offline for quite some time after the first season, and we were getting ready to watch the second season. So I'm just like, I want to see what people have to say about it after I watched it because I was like unhappy, and just like comment after comment, I'm scrolling through Twitter and everyone's saying book Nazi, book Nazi, book Nazi, book Nazi, book Nazi, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh,
this
book
is
cloak,
real.
Yeah.
About
Brandon Sanders.
But it's super, or just about anybody that remotely doesn't like the TV show. I'm super confused. So you're not allowed to dislike the show,
which apparently is the truth.
Well, I mean,
so I thought that's
so
interesting. And let me ask you guys this because I want to know how you feel about it. But like when book cloak came up as a term initially before the show season 1 even came out, it was kind of in reference to like psychos that had this own like preconception of what the books were. And as casting was even coming out, they were like, not my Sen Bowie or whatever the kind of thing. Yeah. And people were like, oh, you're basically a Nazi because they're casting, black people as Nynaeve and, and Perrin and all that stuff. And people are having problems with it. It since has blurred the lines to where like if you criticize the show in any way, shape, or form, it seems like people would be like, oh, you guys are book cloaks. I'm like, whoa, what? don't throw me in with that lot. Like, what? Where did that line blur this far?
It started off absolutely with people that had unfounded issues and criticisms of like the casting choices because of like the whole like having an issue with the race. Cast.
Yeah.
Which is horrible. It started there, and then that just got doubled down on whenever people started reacting to like some of the trailers and that kind of stuff. So it all got tied into like this kind of like racist misogyny around the same time that like calling people Nazis became the buzzword to win any argument you make for whatever reason. Because I can't make an actual argument, so I'm just going to call you a bad name, and that'll scare you away.
That'll get me away.
Have the moral high ground.
Yeah, because I can't formulate an actual like comment against you, so I'm just going to call you a bad name without any actual foundation behind it.
Hey, are you personally attacking me right now, dickhead?
Obviously.
Directed only
I can count on Andrew to give me a finger on the pulse of the internet.
You on to attack you.
Yeah.
But then it just like as people became critical of things, you definitely still had plenty of people that were critical of the TV show for the wrong reasons.
Oh, for sure.
Said everything was horrible because of they had issues with the race of the race or whatever of
those people still fall into that category.
Yeah, and it became this thing where gradually over time it was just like if you have negative criticism of this show, we're no longer going to listen to your reasoning behind it. We're just going to assume it because you don't like the show, and the most visible and vocal people that don't like the show do it because of abhorrent reasons. We're just going to loop everybody in together in this one same group.
Yeah.
Obviously, in this world, you're either entirely 100% for it or you're absolutely 100% against it. There is no in between. You got to be on one.
And that's all. Oh, wow. All right. So we're just a snapshot of the United States, basically.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But that's
crazy.
Like
it's life.
Reset it in the chat. Social media does not do middle grounds.
They do not.
Yeah.
You either unequivocally
there's no nuance.
everything
there's no
about
discussion.
the show and think it's the greatest television ever made, or you're a book cloak, which means you're
and I've said this on our show 1,000 times. I love the show that it even exists. Like we do ratings on our shows per episode, and I never drop below 5 because I'm like, I'm at 50% just because I'm watching a show called The Wheel of Time, like kind of thing. So I'm like,
yes,
and like I said, and Tom's the other side of that spectrum, and John is somewhere in the middle. which in terms of our show, actually gives a lot of good commentary on the episodes we watch because it's got a well-rounded take on what we're experiencing. Key is that just because I'm at 50% doesn't mean I'm not going to point out things that I find that are incorrect or inconsistent or blah 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 or not right with the show. Some of those are based on the fact that I've read the books. Some of them are just show isn't doing its job, kind of thing. In terms of the characters getting a solid arc in a season, or just little things like that, or the little nitpicky things like I said about Lan with the dagger. There's little moments that you could give to each character throughout season 1 that would have made you give a shit more about those individual characters than they did in the show. There's little moments that could happen throughout season 2 that could have bolstered that stronger in my heart and desire to continue watching the show and giving a fuck about Perrin and Nynaeve and Egwene, kind of thing. And I think they did a really good job on some hands, and then on other characters they did.
Whereas on my end,
they did some good hand jobs and some bad hand jobs.
Some good hand jobs and some not so good hand jobs.
Some hand jobs are just really great. And some
for me,
and some use jargon.
Yeah. For me, if you change the title card to Everybody Loves Raymond to say The Wheel of Time, I feel like they've done as good of a job adapting the books as this show has. Or literally any other TV show you could name. I was curious about that just because I saw somebody I never expected this website to be book floats, and they put a link to a review of the start of season 2, and I read it. I was like, this is at worst middling, and I think this person likes the show.
Yeah.
And there was a pile on in the comments. It was crazy.
I don't remember what article that was, but it was IGN or something. It was just a regular website that's and it was clearly written by somebody on that staff that likes the Wheel of Time. And was just this is cool, but and here's why, kind of thing.
I'm basically surprised nobody's blown up my house.
Sorry,
you'll have those comments about people that are super critical of the show, but then certain other article style websites. I'm not going to say their actual name because I don't want to call them out. But if I had to make up a name of such a website, I would something like rantingabout.screens.com. If you can.
Okay, yeah,
it's a terrible.
Doing an article about Nynaeve's return. The scene with Nynaeve in the arches changes a core truth about the books, and it's it's not a core truth about the books at all. But 2, it also happens in the fucking books. Mm-hmm. It's just not people don't abandon and walk away because the time dilation goes differently. But this actually happens in the books, and it infuriated me. I know I talked about it in our Discord because a simple cursory Google search would literally turn up the book, the chapters, everything about what happened, and somebody was like, what's going to make a great article? Me saying that this changes a fundamental truth of the books.
Yeah.
Show me
and there's absolutely no research whatsoever done. Yeah,
I've never said that you should. I've rarely ever said that somebody should fire somebody for especially just being wrong reasons. Generally, it's just being morally abhorrent. That if you can't even be bothered to Google search in an era where most people are teleworking anyway, just fucking quit. Just quit. Just stop. You're not just wrong, you're stupid in 3 languages.
Honestly, and for me, I've been very concerned about my criticism of the show.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. I've been very careful about my criticism in the show because I wanted to make sure that when I bring criticism, I want to bring receipts. I want to make sure that I'm bringing an intelligent argument. But when Brandon Sanderson says this is stupid, I kind of go, you know what?
I'm listening to that.
I don't feel the need,
Josh.
He did.
He's this is wrong, and here's why.
I'm still bringing receipts, but you guys don't even understand how much less careful I'm going to be about this.
Number
going
one,
forward.
there's, as you said earlier, Josh, there's no consistency with the dagger, period. So that presents it. That in and of itself presents a problem. But if you're running and you're trying to fix that, and this season seemed to try to fix that, and tried to give the dagger certain rules and how it acted or how it was able to kill people or whatever it was doing, kind of thing. That said, there's no difference between putting the dagger in a sheath and tying it to your belt versus tying it to the end of a stick. It's still right next to you.
Right.
It's still affecting you, like kind of thing. And I was like, God damn it, why didn't I not think of that? Like Brandon said that, I was like, Jesus Christ, that for some reason tying it to the end of the stick made me think it was okay too. But thematically, it presents a problem.
I just love that people will look at the person that has like some of the most intimate knowledge of not only Robert Jordan's notes, but his desires. I don't know, because he actually talked to Robert fucking Jordan.
Oh, I don't know, right?
Like, you're so wrong. You're such a book cloak, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, we wouldn't have the last three books if it wasn't for this guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now you're mad because
here's the thing, though. That's not a reason to listen to what he has to say. Like, I mean, it is and it isn't. But the fact that he spoke about the show in a way that was like, this is weird and inconsistent. Why are they doing that? And setting this up incorrectly. It wasn't like he was like, fuck this show. Like, he was like, oh, sorry, guys. I really hated this, that they did this way. I wanted them to do it this way. It didn't work out.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, it wasn't like he was like, oh, the show's the worst thing in the world. He was just like, hey, I fought for this and I didn't win, and that's my bad, but like, you know, here's the show. You know, like, he wasn't, I don't know.
And he was apologizing because he felt like it was a disservice to the fans, which
yes,
really good.
And I say this, and this with the dagger. Let's just focus in on the dagger for just a second. Take the books away. Take the books away entirely. The Wheel of Time books do not exist. This is 100% a TV show that was thought up by Rafe Judkins and team, and the Wheel of Time books do not exist.
Sure.
The dagger sucks.
It's supposed to be this evil thing, and it twisted Matt, and then they healed him of it, and they never even showed like I think Moran wraps it up and hands it to Lance. What did he do? Just like walk outside the inn and then throw it in a garbage can? Like, it doesn't know. We never see what happens to it. There's no weight behind the dagger. It doesn't mean anything.
There's no consistency to it. And you can apparently, you can stab 5 people with it and they'll just be like, oh gosh, that sucked. Well, let's go, guys. And then in the very next scene,
Ogier or Shinaran, then if you recover inexplicably from it.
Yeah. and then you can tie it with a little string on the end of a stick, and then it becomes a lightsaber and it melts everything it touches. But then you stab your friend with it and it's okay again.
Oh, well, he got healed shittily by Elaine.
And this is my point.
It effortlessly melts through a door, but it just sticks in Rand and doesn't move.
Yes.
Like, this becomes my point. Solid iron, at least, but you stick into a human body with the full weight of a shaft weighing down against your ass end, and you're just like.
And his scar looks like a decoration from a tiki bar.
and this becomes my point. Take the books away. You know, take away our advantage of having an established story to compare it to.
Yeah, exactly.
The rules, there are no rules with that dagger.
The one power though. Like, so I mean, granted, that's a giant rabbit hole to dive down. But like the inconsistencies with, I mean, like Andrew or I don't remember which one of you said this at this point, but one of you guys were like, when we were talking about Leandrin channeling, Andrew, it was you. But you were like, well, how did a Damane not see that Leandrin channeled like to let the girls go or whatever, you know, kind of thing. And I'm like, that's a good fucking point. Like, they constantly set up rules with the one power and then don't follow up with them like a lot. And I'm just like, we need
following the rules of your magic.
Following these books that give us all these clear rules. It's very easy. It's not like you have to make the rules up. Like, the rules are there. You know, I don't know.
Well, because if Nynaeve accidentally puts too much power into this band, the Damane from 2 miles away will sense it and come to find them.
but
if Leandrin, who's literally standing next to a Damane,
just sees Damane, by the way. She's like, there she is.
It's cool.
Right away.
No. Wait, we didn't see
Do that again.
It makes me more worried for how they're
over
going to
my head
deal
on
with.
that one. Sorry, guys,
Makes me-
missed that one.
Makes me more worried for how they're going to deal with Nynaeve's block, because they like in situations where she should have
I'd say it's
clearly
gone.
been absolutely angry enough to channel. She's not,
Mhm.
and she doesn't. But the one time she does is when a yellow sister goes, "Don't think, just do."
Yeah.
The power
she's
was
like,
within you all along.
Maybe she'll raise an
I-
thing out of the swamp and that'll do it.
So the one thing I'll say about the show and the block is that
There is no try, only do.
they've set up the block, but they haven't said what the block is. And all of us as book readers are like, well, it's based on anger, obviously. But like they haven't said anything about the block being based on anything. They just say you have a block.
Or
So
even
like
just
that's the
make it
only thing that I'm
intense
like,
emotion.
I guess that technically makes sense-ish, you know, but even if it's just based on emotion, how emotional is what she was going through in the last episode of that show should have gotten her past the block, right? Like Elaine in the Arrow, the shit seeing Rand wounded on the rooftop, she didn't have enough emotion going at that point. Anger
Oh, you
notwithstanding.
mean Rand wounded on the rooftop?
Yeah.
Is
just
she
nothing?
actively trying to kill Egwene? Which I guess that's why they had Egwene do the whole like, Nynaeve actually doesn't really care about me. She's just here to do blah 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 blah. So we're not actually that close. And Nynaeve's like, I'm hurt, and it's like,
I'm hurt.
it's like really?
I really
Really?
enjoyed the Nynaeve and Perrin were great in the earlier chunk of the season. In the latter half of the season, they fall off. Like Perrin's just wandering around
Agreed.
with the Aiel girls, and then Nynaeve just does jack all. Like Elaine and her don't even get up there in time to free Egwene. You know, like kind of thing. Like they took that away from those characters. You know, and
The
yeah,
more
you gave it to
Perrin
Egwene and
does,
she
the
freed
less
herself.
Rand and Nynaeve do.
But Egwene freeing herself fundamentally shifts what that character went through because she freed herself. It's a fine line thematically, and if you're not going to follow that through line in
They're
the
not
show,
the same-
it's
they're not
fine
the
to
same
do without it. But if you
It's
are
not the
following
same
that
thing.
through line in the show, like it's like, what are you doing? Why did you change that? You know, kind of thing.
It's understandable, but it's also cruel. Like Egwene in the books was never cruel. She was
Mhm.
angry. It was righteous anger. She was, determined. She was never cruel. And don't get me wrong, Sean Chan absolutely deserved every bad thing that ever happens to them. Absolutely.
Yeah, agreed.
But that is it changed
Not from our
Egwene
heroes.
into being directly to the face, cold-blooded cruel. Because she didn't just like kill the Damane or anything like that. Like she literally basically tortured her into letting her go, which again, I'm not going to say I wouldn't do any differently, but I'm also not everybody else in the world. And many people would probably call me cruel in some way or another. Who the fuck knows?
I mean,
you're
nowadays,
a
just
horrifyingly cruel person.
But, like,
holding
it
someone
wasn't-
accountable for their shitty behavior is
Yeah.
cruel, apparently.
And the thing is,
nowadays.
I get how horribly Egwene was treated and how horrible the experience was for her. But even then, the Egwene from the books would have still been, and maybe she will in season 3. Maybe there hasn't been enough time to deal with it, and she's just like in the throes
Man,
of
that's
combat
frustrating.
kind of thing.
Mhm.
You know what I
like,
mean?
Maybe
Like,
they're
oh,
gonna do that.
Oh,
But
baby.
like
by
right now,
season
like
7 they'll
she literally
correct.
just murdered somebody,
If
and it's
there
just
is a
like
season 7.
and it's just like, oh, this isn't gonna affect me at all. I'm gonna go shield attacks from a Forsaken. Like,
Again, so yeah.
As we very well know from the books, like killing another person actually matters to these characters.
Yeah.
It's a big
Yeah.
deal
Yeah.
for all
Yeah.
of them.
When you kill another
And it
person, it
should be.
splits a piece of your soul, and then you put that into a Horcrux.
Yeah, of
you
course.
put that
everyone
into,
knows
you
that.
put that into
That's why
Uno's
Egwene was able
magical
to
hold
manipulation.
off.
Yeah. Well,
No,
that
and
said,
then
I really
Dennis
enjoyed our
Romeo
time in
comes and
Hogwarts
plants
School
a
for
magic
Witchcraft and
phantom
Wizardry.
and you come out of a drop of blood. So stupid. What a stupid.
Like, hey, we're gonna spend so much of each episode just going, pour the water, Egwene.
It
Pour
is
the water.
like
Pull more rain.
Hashtag
Let's
the water.
let's have you ignore your sister for 5 fucking minutes on screen. Like,
Absolute abomination.
Sorry, guys, we had no time to develop a relationship with Ingtar and Rand. We had to have Moraine ignore her sister for 10 minutes.
I was about to say we had to have Moraine be unnecessarily bitchy to Lan, her sister, and her nephew. Like, that was more important.
Mayonnaise, he's a dark friend.
Didn't give her time to turn around and look past the camera as if she's.
He didn't mayonnaise though. He buttered.
That's true. Both sides.
After each one of those, after they left, Moraine would turn around, look off to the left of the camera, or our right as we're watching the screen, and look incredibly sad and bothered. So that's how we knew she was sacrificing something, not just being.
Oh, right. Because
Aes Sedai are never an asshole.
She was a bitch, but she was sad about it. So cool.
You better be careful. You know what happened the last time somebody called another.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. She was a mean person, but it's okay because she was sad about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice to complain to a new audience, because for the last month and a half, I've just been on repeat on our show. It's like, hey, what do you think? And I'm like, well, I hate it, and here's the reasons why, and they're the same as they were last week.
Yeah, well, I mean, so again, but people are enjoying Tom's perspective, which is fine.
That's what I appreciate about you, Tom.
Well, man, we've actually been rewatching that.
I need to.
Let's start moving into final thoughts, and
let's do this.
I want to start with Tom here. Let's start with Tom. Final thoughts about all the things we don't like about season 2.
Tom.
Preferably a little bit more than I just don't like any of it.
But also, if you just don't like it, that's okay. You don't have to like it.
I just don't like it, but I could give you two specific examples that I said on our show a bunch, but I mean, they really nail it on the head. What drives me crazy about it is in a quote from the showrunner from season 1, where they could not afford to build Camlin and put it into season 1 because they had to build Tar Valon, which you did not, because Tar Valon's not in that drove me insane. And then
Tom, they had to build Tar Valon so you could show Steppen killing himself.
And we have to have the ring flame thing. And
then before season 2, somebody's asking, is Rosamund Pike going to be in season 2 a lot? And he said, well, of course, we have to make up a bunch of scenes for Rosamund to be in, because you don't cast Rosamund
Pike.
She's
going to be in season 3, 4, 5, and 6. She's here to stay.
Don't cast her. Don't cast her. Or Sean Bean her. Either option is great.
I mean, and everyone would have loved that.
Don't make up scene and I've said it before on our show, but I honestly originally assumed that Rosamund Pike signed on to the show because she was like, wait, I can do 1 season of this, fuck off for 5 seasons, get it millions of dollars, and come back at the end.
Nope.
Sounds good.
And
imagine she doesn't know that, and then she reads the series and is like, the fuck.
Yeah,
I could have done 6 other projects, but no, you kept me in season 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
She could have fucked off the entire time and just chilled out and taken a paycheck, but
could have.
No, I feel like they have made terrible choices with the storytelling and direction of the show. The writing is great, episode by episode. The actors are great, everything's great. It's just the overall direction, the choices made by the person in charge are fucking garbage. And I hope that person falls off a cliff tonight. And I hope that cliff is near my house and I see his head bouncing down my street.
Tom, I want to thank you for holding back and not being very brutal about your opinion there, buddy. Appreciate that.
I mean, Tom's given worse reviews episode by episode on our show for sure.
One last thing. Every time we're just I'm just glad the wheel time's out there and people are going to experience it. I'm actually upset that people are experiencing this as the wheel time. It's not the wheel time, and that I
love that Tom just busted in with and another thing.
It's not the Wheel of Time, but it is a Wheel of Time.
It is Wheel of Time.
It's a ring.
Okay,
Josh, you're
I
next.
will say this. First and foremost, season 2 is a dramatic improvement over season 1. I feel this in my bones. But that's like saying, season 1 is a 4 and season 2 is a 6.
Okay.
Season 3 needs to be an 8 or a 9. I'm sorry, it needs to be in order for me to be invested in it. I am happy with some of the corrections they've made, but there are some glaring issues, which again we've talked about it to death. Rand and Lan being completely and totally removed from the story, just like JK, they don't matter at all. The dagger, which plays a significant role in the books, is just this random wild card of Deus Ex Machina that we don't really know what to do here. Cool, make the dagger do something. I hate that in storytelling. Be consistent. Follow your own rules. That's what I look for in good storytelling. And my criticism continues to be, if I take the books away, I'm still going to look at this show and go, what the hell is up with that dagger? This makes zero sense. It immediately turns my brain off. And I'm sincerely looking for some improvements in season 3.
Fair enough. Joe, you're next.
I agree with Josh on a lot of notes. That kind of echoes my thoughts. I guess I would add on that with the problems that I have with the show, even like setting aside book stuff. It's about the inconsistencies with the storytelling and the fact that the beats are, even if you take the beats of the show story-wise and twist them slightly to represent the characters that would better represent that moment in time. Like, I don't know, Egwene's burnt out and Nynaeve heals her in the end of season 1. Nynaeve heals Rand in the end of season 2. He could still look up dreamily at Elaine and be like all doughy-eyed at her. There's little moments where you're just like, why did you take that from Nynaeve? Why did you do this? Like, why is Egwene the one healing Nynaeve? There's just little tiny things where I'm just like, wow, if that scene was fine if you flipped it a little bit or just twisted this or changed that. There's so many little tiny microscopic moments like that I'm just like, I'm wondering if the people making this show have read the books at all. That being said, it's just
shit.
Well, I mean, it's just you take those scenes and you change them a little tiny bit. A line of dialogue here, a change of person in one position or the other, and it suddenly more resembles the books. And if the exact story beat that you're trying to get across in the show, there's no excuse not to do it. I don't understand what the change is. Like, why do what you're doing? Kind of thing. So those are the ones I have the most problems with that drive me crazy. They're the ones that I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that was an okay scene. That was a great scene in the show. And all you had to do was this much more, and it would have been make all the book fans happy as well, kind of thing. So it's little things like that I'm like, I don't know what you're doing over there. The inconsistency with calling Rand the Dragon Reborn versus the dragon drives me up the wall. My God, and it makes me want to punch my TV screen until it's a shattered piece of glass on the ground. I don't understand it. Lews Theron's the dragon, Rand's the Dragon Reborn, and then they spend the entire season 1 calling him the dragon. And then in the one flashback with Lews Theron, they literally call him the Dragon Reborn. And it made me want to scream at the top of my lungs.
Why?
Better in season 2 with that, randomly calling Rand the Dragon Reborn at times. And so they are a little tiny bit better at it. But I'm just like, that's a weird thing not to get right. It's like calling Frodo Bilbo by accident, and all of us just being like, it's fine.
And then everybody just pretending like it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. So it's those
It's the spirit
little
of
tiny
the
things
ring.
that mean so much to the people that have read the books that they're so inconsistent with that drives me crazy. But like Josh said, season 2 is way better. I want more from season 3. It needs to be so much better than they need to do so much better of a job. And I'm not saying season 2 was not that same course correction step, but season 3 needs to be just as much of a step forward in the right direction as season 2 was. And that's how I feel.
Do you know what ruined me? Sorry, just 2 seconds of a comment.
Oh, I'm done.
We did 5
Big
minutes in
double
heaven panel at WatCon.
Yeah.
And at WatCon it was, if you could add 5 minutes to any episode to make it better, what would you do? And that panel ruined me. There were like I want to say there were like 2 or 3
Like, why not do this?
of those panels, and every single one of them I was like, no. Now, granted, Lauren from Unraveling the Pattern was on one of those panels, and Lauren's a super smart guy, but I'm just like, where every single panel is like, if you would have done this, it would have been so much better. And I'm kind of going,
yeah,
wow.
You can't unsee it now. Yeah.
We literally have a room full of fans being like, that would have been so much better if you would have done that.
Is that the frustration? Like, just how easy it would be to like?
Yes,
make
that's my frustration
10%
for
better.
sure. Yes,
Kind of, yeah.
That's
and
my
film the exact fucking scene and literally take one actor and move them from one side of the room to the other, and I would like, great scene.
that's my screaming rage.
That's how close they are to making a good scene.
What is
Like,
it in
you
Fight Club? I am Jack's
you-
screaming rage.
You literally changed up. You didn't have to do this.
Yeah.
I just constantly want to be like, just don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I already wrote it. It's done.
It's there.
I'm going back.
We did it.
I'm going,
We have it
I'm
now.
It's the thing
going
that
back.
was done.
I'm going back.
All right. Okay, so Tom and Joe are both fucking book cloaks. Fuck you guys.
Come watch our show for more book cloak awesomeness.
We're all book cloaks this episode because we dare utter
Hit it,
criticism.
Andrew. Book cloak us out.
You guys
Oh,
had
I
a
know.
whole episode on being a book cloak, basically.
Did that feel good? Was that cathartic
Yeah, it
for you
does.
guys? Did that feel
Feels
good?
really good.
Yeah,
It feels so good right now.
Feels
got
better.
a lot out of
We
the chest.
finally get from underneath our
Leave
Amazon show
thumbs down
contract.
if you hate what we're talking about right now. I will feed on your hatred.
For those of you that take what I just said seriously, we are not under any contract with Amazon or anybody else.
We are actually not.
We know
Before
you.
somebody freaks the fuck out.
Sorry
I
for
will-
the subscribers we lost, you guys.
No, that's absolutely fine. I'm surprised we have subscribers. Apparently we'll just buy more, according to some people.
And the ones that have stayed, Tom, I mean, you guys can come watch the podcast too.
We're weeding out the wheat from the chaff.
Oh, yes.
I will say,
Yeah.
the vast majority of my issues with the TV show in general, period, are a favoritism towards the books over what the TV show has done. I will also say the books are wildly successful. The books have sold millions and millions of copies. They are an incredibly beloved and successful series for people to read. The reason they even got accepted to be made into a TV adaptation is because the core story is good and worth telling. Season 2 did a lot more than season 1 to bring us closer to the TV show. I'm hoping that the team is doing their Machiavellian thing where they're changing what they have to change early on. And from then on, it's a move closer to the books to go with the book story because, again, the story is already incredible. The story is already fantastic. Where I agree that people are book cloaks is whenever they get into the issues with who's cast to play the roles, because the Wheel of Time isn't about races; it's about cultures. It's about different cultures of people, different nations of people. It very rarely, with the exception of one character and one group of people, mentions anything about skin color beyond the paler or darker kind of comparison. So, and if you think I'm wrong, well, then you should go and reread the fucking books because you're wrong. So there's just that.
Because you're fucking wrong. Don't come at me.
I agree.
So carefully spoken.
Come at me.
Yeah.
Come at me, bro.
I mean, you can, but also bring your receipts. And I swear, if it says paler or darker skin, then I'm going to call you a fucking racist because you automatically assume paler means white and darker means black. That just makes you a fucking racist. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But,
Reese in the chat thinks their teeth are too white.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. They didn't have Crest whitening toothpaste back then.
Yeah, that's so inaccurate. Fuck yeah.
If the IEL
I'd
had
be
whitening
lying.
toothpaste, they'd be fucked. They could not.
Yeah, can we get a few Steve Buscemi's in here or what?
Well, Galad is the only one that's found the Crest whitening toothpaste. That's why he's so attractive, apparently. So.
Yeah, Nynaeve uses
Even though we
salt in a
haven't seen it.
stick.
Yeah.
The salted stick.
Yeah,
She gets the salted stick.
Speaking for John from podcasts, he likes the show okay. His most biting comment, still my favorite, is like apparently Rafe Judkins thinks he's a better writer than Robert Jordan.
Okay.
I am going to say, in absolute fairness, well, not fairness, absolute criticism, given not only the continuing support that book fans and book shows and people like that have given to the TV show, but the absolute massive bandwagon of support that book fans threw into your corner, Rafe, I find it incredibly offensive to just blatantly say the show isn't made for fans of the books.
Oh wow!
Yeah, like, I like to think that you mean like the horrible side of the true book cloaks, the people that just hate it for no actual reason.
Cool.
That's what I want to think. That's what I kind of semi choose to believe. I'm not going to say that's what I fully believe because I'm not going to sit there and lie to you as you're listening to this episode. Absolutely, because that's
yes,
what
for sure.
Because of course
he is a fan.
But given the fact of the amount of support that the fans of the books have shown you, deserved or not, doesn't matter whether you believe they are supporting you or not, or whether you deserve it or not, it still means something. And the fact of the matter that you include certain lines, like one man could hold 50, and then promptly in the final cut have them die to 3. And what does it take to earn a heron mark this side of the ocean? Because people keep misquoting it, saying this side of the Aerith Ocean. He never says Aerith; he just says this side of the ocean. The fact that you still include those quintessential book lines and you highlight in interviews about, there's nuggets in there for the book readers, means that you are actually doing part of the series for book readers. So,
right.
Also, to piggyback on that a second, Andrew,
anything
they do. He also said something like, "This is for the wider audience." What wider audience? The Wheel of Time is everywhere. It's all over the world. Like it's sold.
We're in the first age.
It's not like it's
right
just,
now.
You know what I mean? Like
let's look at who y'all invited to the season 1 premiere in London. Oh, book fan, social media personality that doesn't know how to research the basics of, like, I don't know who the cast is. Like, I get it. Like, I get the statement, and if you're going to do that, then that's fine. Then don't predominantly invite book fans to be your social media coverage. Like, that's just that's like my bit of a thing is like, it's like any other member of quote unquote leaderships in the being like, this isn't for this group. Oh, we're gonna lean on this group because in mass
we're gonna depend on them as our foundation, but it's not
saying
for
anybody
them.
else. But the book fans have given the Wheel of Time TV show an unimaginable amount of free publicity and promotion that nobody has paid for. Many people have been thanked for. Many people have been thanked way more for. It's fine. No saltiness here. It is what it is. Whether you emailed the wrong, whether you
you did not, sir. All right, look. Here's what it is. Here's what's happening.
Josh, no.
Amazon.
Actually, edit this episode and edit that part out for me. Please.
I can't.
Nothing that
sir.
you don't edit. Yeah, you can.
It's live.
Download and edit.
Cut that. Cut that.
Amazon, thank you. I don't want you to think that we're ungrateful for your attention.
I'm not ungrateful.
We
I want
are.
the show to keep going. I want the show to get better.
We are tremendously grateful for your attention. We hope.
No, I'm disagreeing.
No, I get it, and we're closing this thing down, and we think that we're all excited that the show exists.
By the way, that was a playful joke. Nobody take offense. All right.
No, everybody take offense.
Stop it. Don't backtrack, Andrew.
Twatcast, thank you so much, Twatcast. Where can the people find you if they decide they want awesome Wheel of Time content that is older than their own children's or their own selves?
You know,
he's plugging while you're talking, so I guess we're done there.
Yeah, everything that you can find us on is on twatcast.com, and then like YouTube Twatcast. It's easy. You just look for Twatcast. Spell it right. I think that was the key. For the most part.
Which look right there in the corner.
Yeah.
Don't look for a TWAT cast. I don't know.
That's a whole different thing.
That'll be a different podcast.
Actually find out.
Anywhere you listen to your podcasts, it's been there forever. It's still there now.
Tom's gonna Google the other Twatcast right now.
Tom, my brother, I find Towers of Midnight has been here.
I find strange that it's the first time he's ever done that. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you joining us for this week's dose of Taint. And we hope that wherever you are, you leave here just a little bit more insane than you were when you first got here. Please go check out the Twatcast. They really are some super awesome dudes. Don't tell them I said that. From all of us here at the Black Tower, I have been your servant on the hill, Josh.
And for all of you that are listening to this episode going, wow, they're such horrible people, that's fine.
We are.
You're entitled to your own belief, even if it's wrong. Or right. Whatever you think it is. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong or right, but, obviously know where I stand. Bring your receipts if you want to refute it. And if you want to refute it, there's the comment section down below. There's the feedback on the podcast. There's also blacktowerpod@gmail.com. There's also us on Twitter @TowerPodcast. And whereabouts you can find us at blacktowerpod.com. Bring your receipts, not because we are necessarily subject.
And let's talk.
Because we will ask.
But I'm just glad my favorite member of the Black Tower Podcast was here tonight.
Yeah.
It's narrowed down. It's narrowed down.
But let us
know.
Is. Also, if you are listening live, feel free to hop into our Patreon chat post-episode where we'll be hanging out at least for a little bit, or at least I will. I can't promise anybody else will, but I will be hanging out for a little bit.
Damn,
if you're
I'll
not
hang out.
able to access Patreon chat, you're more than welcome to join Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you too could listen to our absolute trash takes on everything Wheel of Time, or our golden takes, whatever you think. I don't care.
Golden takes
anyway.
We're gonna keep doing this because we love doing it.
Our tainted takes, and you can't make me stop because I pay for my own internet. So kiss my grits. But I have been Andrew. Your Bajan Mahal. Thank you so much for listening to the Black Tower Podcast. If this is the last time you listen to the Black Tower Podcast, we hope that you fail in life. I mean, succeed in life. Live your best life. But for the rest of you that can stand listening to opinions that maybe you don't agree with, or maybe you do, we will see you next week on the next episode of the Black Tower Podcast, where we talk about the Wheel of Time. And for all of us here at the Black Tower Podcast, love you. Thank you, or don't thank you, but we definitely thank you for giving us time or comments. Comment down below, like all the algorithms. I'm going to stop rambling on now as we play these.
Absolutely.
Always watching, always running the show. In the tower, you can bring your pain. In the tower. You've been having so much trouble just fitting in. In the tower, we can help you. We will make you sing.